passing games and have a backfield with Najee Harris and Trey Sanders and try to do some amazing things. Look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 5'7", who I think pound for pound is the best player in college football. He's going on to the NFL, but he was not running around people. He was running through them and over them at 5'7". I don't think he has sprinter speed. He's just really quick, kind of like David Palmer as a true running back. But I think Alabama will be a lot of fun, and they got Jalen Waddle. I mean, the number 4 receiver, and you look what he did to Auburn. He had 264 yards. There's just no end to it. And Mike, Ohio State has the same situation. Now, J.K. Dobbins is gone, but Justin Fields, the quarterback who was the finalist, the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, is back. And looking at the recruiting class, look at it. It's Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, Florida, and Auburn. I mean, nothing's really going to change. It's the premium guy. Both of y'all, I want you to comment. I'm going to throw it back at you, Mike. The premium is on coaching. Ryan Day proved his first year he's a heck of a coach. Yeah, and one last thing. Where is Ryan Day from? Is he an Ohio native, or is he from the East Coast? New Hampshire. Yeah, he is from New Hampshire. That's right. I just thought of... You know who else is from New Hampshire? Dan Mullen, George O'Leary, former Georgia Tech coach and Notre Dame coach for 8 hours. It was pretty short-lived, but got a few coaches come from New Hampshire. And who else is? A smug, unhappy man. I don't like you. Probably never will. Chip Kelly. Remember that in Tommy Boy? Remember that in the movie Tommy Boy? He goes, look, you're a smug, unhappy little man. I don't like you, and I probably never will. And he goes, okay. All right. Really? Wow. Well, I tell you what, he did a heck of a job this year. And, you know, I look around, I would love, and I want both of y'all, we're about to be joined in just a few minutes by Tommy Tuberville, former coach at Ole Miss and Auburn and Texas Tech and Cincinnati, and a native of Camden, Arkansas, and a current candidate in the U.S. Senate race in Alabama. He is a Trump man all the way, but I want y'all's thoughts. What about an SEC Big Ten regular season challenge? And I'm going to call this the authentic challenge. We're going to send Michigan or Ohio State down to Auburn and Gainesville in mid-September when it's 180 degrees with the wind chill. Then we're going to send the Florida Gators and Texas A&M up to State College and Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we're going to send the Ole Miss Rebels up to St. Paul, Minneapolis-St. Paul, to the Twin Cities for a late November game against Minnesota. What about that versus these bowl games in early January when all the snowbirds who are already down in the South go to these games, and unless they're playing for a whole lot, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. Mike, what do you think? Yeah, it is. And I just think playing tougher competition, and also I've got a friend, Uncle Charlie down in Monroe, Louisiana, that's got this proposal. It looks like a PhD thesis dissertation about the SEC, and it basically what it does is it has everybody playing everybody. So if you stay at a school for 4 years, you're going to go to every stadium in the SEC at least one time. The way we have it right now, there's a lot of these rivalries, guys, that are played so infrequently, you hardly know you're in the same conference. And I think that maybe we drop a regular season game, especially if we go to an 18 playoff, and you cut some of these games, which I call CBS games, Club and Baby Seals, and you play more of these intersectional games. But Jack, I know you and your dad going to State College all those years, Penn State, Alabama. I would love to see Ohio State come down to Auburn or Baton Rouge, and Auburn go to Columbus to the Shoe. I mean, good grief. That's the headquarters of Nationwide, and companies. There's some of the big banks. Columbus, Mike, in my opinion, is the largest college town in America. There's no other city over 1 million people that is as big a college town as Columbus, Ohio, is there? Man, I tell you, that's all. I love, that is awesome. And to this day, I still drive through Birmingham on 65, Jack. And of course, it is a major traffic snarl. Birmingham's traffic is bad 24/7. But I drive by Legion Field, and my stomach is up in my throat thinking about all the nail biters and the heartbreakers and the euphoria of games Auburn and Alabama at Legion Field. Mike Parsons, Jack Turner, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We're going to take a quick commercial break and then come back with head coach Tommy Tuberville. Now, Senate candidate Tommy Tuberville. We'll be right back with more. You're listening to Sidelines, and check us out, sidelines.live. We'll be right back. All right, thank you guys. Now, yeah. I just sent him the thing. you said you called me. We come back in, you and I'll flip back.
Back here, music's on. Nice hot.
All right, Rob Brown back here with you. 4:37 on a Friday afternoon. We're going to be joined, hopefully, here in a few minutes by Tommy Tuberville, football coach, U.S. Senate candidate in Alabama in the race Republican primary coming up here March 3rd. So he'll be joining us, hopefully, unless he is caught up in a campaign event, which he could be. That was a really interesting conversation just now. Mike Parsons, Mr. Buckeye, talking Ohio State, Jack Turner talking some Alabama and SEC. And Shane, let's talk real quick about Tennessee. This Tennessee team, I did win my steamer pack, 24 crystals. They won 8 games. I did it in classic fashion, 23-22 over Indiana in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Next year, Trey Smith is coming back, former National High School Player of the Year out of Jackson, Tennessee, big offensive lineman. He's got some medical issues that he's dealing with, but he's going to be back. Heck of a player. Darnell Lockett, the offensive tackle out of West Virginia, who was a 5-star freshman, started for Tennessee. Wayne Morris, Loganville, Georgia, Grayson High School, which is producing more Division I football players than any school in the Deep South. And Tennessee, a lot of people are excited about next year. Jeremy Pruitt, I think he's a heck of a coach. I think Tennessee is going to be a factor next year with what's going on at Georgia. Jake Fromm leaving early for the NFL. I think the SEC East is going to be very competitive next year. And Alabama better watch out when they make that trip next year to Knoxville, because Tennessee fans have been just absolutely energized by what they're doing, and they're doing well in recruiting too.
I've heard something about maybe Derek King, the quarterback from Houston, possibly transferring into the portal. They have Cade Mays coming in. His little brother's going to be on the line with him there.
Well, and I want to ask Coach Tuberville when he gets on, but my opinion, and Coach Tuberville, welcome to Sidelines. Real quick before I go to my first question, how's the campaign going? Well, you're a planner, you're an organizer, you've won in everything you've ever done in your professional career. You've also got a lot of coaches. I asked you one time, do you keep the top 3 or 4 assistants at every position in football on a list in your back pocket with your cell phone numbers? I asked you this one time when I was with Barry, and I didn't even finish the question, and you said, yeah. Didn't even bat an eye. Yes. I do too. I mean, I made a bet with one of our guys at work, a 24 steamer pack of crystals. Tennessee would win 8 games, and he thought I was crazy. And he's a Tennessee grad, and you know they lost the BYU game, they lost the Georgia State game. That's 10 wins right there. But and Coach, am I crazy to say this, but sometimes you win those other games you might not have won because you were so angry and so motivated after a loss to Georgia State or BYU. You went on and you won it like Tennessee did 7 of their last 8 games. Is your record just, it is what it is? Is it that basic? All right, let's switch over. And there's a player in Snakeskin Cowboy, our producer, who is a huge Tennessee fan, along with my wife Audrey. They're both in there wearing orange. It's crazy, but of course you were the one that brought the all Auburn, all orange, all the time, which I love. They're wearing that Tennessee orange in there. But D'Eriq King, quarterback at Houston. This is, maybe I'm old school, but when he decided he wasn't going to play anymore this season for Dana Holgorsen at Houston, I consider him, this is just my opinion, he's toxic. Because the team is bigger than you, and your honor is dearer than your life. Would you want to have a player like D'Eriq King on your team, knowing that he quit on his team this year because things maybe weren't going well, and he wanted to use that rule about the 4 games and not losing a whole year? Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go look at Arkansas. Sam Pittman, he's got Kendall Briles, offensive coordinator, now on the staff. Barry Odom played at Missouri, former head coach. He was just let go at the end of the season. They know that part of the country. They know the players. They know where to go get those players. Sam Pittman, I'm hearing a lot of positive things from my Arkansas friends. You've got a lot of Arkansas friends. You've been to a lot of Arkansas games. There's something about him. He has tremendous confidence, and as a recruiter, I think he could get you excited about walking the green mile to the hangman. I mean, what is it about Sam Pittman that makes him such a great recruiter and a great coach? Yeah. All right. Looking, Auburn made a hire on the offensive line this past week, Jack Bicknell Jr. I remember his dad when he coached at Boston College. Jack was, I think, the center on the football team, which is the quarterback of the offensive line when Doug Flutie was the quarterback. Seems like a tough, really hardcore, very intelligent offensive line coach. He's got the resume. You check the NFL. He's got a Super Bowl. He was on a Super Bowl championship team. He just finished the last 3 years at Ole Miss. Ole Miss finished second in the SEC this past year. He was on Matt Luke's staff. They didn't have great talent on the offensive line, and they didn't have a whole lot of depth, but they were second in the SEC and ninth in the nation in rushing. What do you think about the hire of Jack Bicknell Jr. to coach the offensive line at Auburn? Because Auburn only averaged in games against the Power 5 ranked, they were about 134 yards a game. but in the 4 losses to Minnesota, Georgia, LSU, and Florida, Auburn averaged 99.6 yards a game. What do you think about the hire, and what are the number one priority for Jack McNeil at Auburn? When Auburn won the national championship in 2010, 22-19 over Oregon, of the 24 starters, counting the punter and the kicker, 18 of those players you recruited. Coach, you have a great propensity to find players. Dontarius Thomas, I mean, Mark Parra, who played for you, started for you for 3 years, is a good friend. He said Dontarius Thomas came to Auburn. He was about 6'3", 185, 190 pounds, out of Perryville, Georgia. He was on the 4x400 Georgia State Championship team. When he left Auburn, he weighed about 240 pounds. He was a second-round draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings. Talk about Lee Zimba, players like that. You recruited him out of Rogers, Arkansas. Of course, he had Auburn parents. You got Cody Burns out of Fort Smith. But let's talk about the offensive line. When Auburn won that national championship, they had a combined 172 starts among those linemen. Another one of your kids out of Hoover, Ryan Pugh, is now the offensive coordinator with Chip Lindsey down at Troy. You just, and Mark Parra told me this, he said, and of course, Thompson, who was the manager on the team, your intelligence, your football IQ is really high. Where do you learn that? Because not everybody can recruit guys that maybe are only a 3-star or a 4-star when everybody thinks there's 35 5-stars a year in the whole country. But where did you learn that from? I mean, I'm looking at your starters that you brought in. Danny Lindsay out of Dublin, Georgia. Marcus McNeil. And, Manrico Crittenden. You had, Tim Duckworth out of Taylorsville, who was a high school teammate of Jason Campbell. And by the way, we had Jason Campbell on the podcast Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. What a man, Coach. Again, he told us something that was really cool.